was telling Tevin too. I have enough jerseys that I can switch the jerseys almost every.
So do I. I have a bunch of them. I have a Julio. I have Kamara. I have Lamar.
Well, I have that Tarkenton jersey that I was going to wear on Monday.
Okay, so we've
got some different stuff. We can ask people to send stuff in too. If you want to send us some sports memorabilia, we'll put it up in the back.
Yeah. Let's add that to the outro.
Yeah, could do that too.
And I'm just checking the YouTube stream. We're gonna play. So when I play the videos, it's gonna take down your like self view. So this is not what the audience will see. This will be
That's fine.
What you, so you can watch the video.
And then will we have to splice those clips in ourselves?
Nope.
Oh, perfect.
Nope. I'm just gonna have them, whatever, there to play. So let me see what I do here. Let me add it. Window. Now the question will be is if this shit is so the first one is going to be the Padres thing, right?
Mike, that's his segment. I just put them on there in
Okay.
whatever order I can find them in. So,
Yeah.
So
that's
yeah.
cool.
So
whatever order you have it set up, I'm sure we can. roll
okay,
with.
okay. So yeah. Basically, I can jump around. So we'll just communicate our way through it, you know.
Okay.
But then you guys wanted them with muted, right?
yeah, you don't need because
Okay.
a lot of them are rips because I didn't want to take them from credible sources. So there's
Right.
other people talking in the background. So I just
absolutely.
muted them all.
Okay.
Trying to think ahead. Trying to be
Of
smart.
course. No, that's great. So
Work smarter, not dumber. Right?
That's
Please.
something like the same.
Yeah. All right, multi-view. I know what you guys.
I've had the tune stuck in my head now all day. Oh, you're not available next Saturday, are you?
I will be in Bradenton, Florida,
I'll punch you in the nose.
at IMG.
Straighten it
Academy,
back out.
Filming 7-on-7.
Fair enough.
All right. So when you guys,
You have a sponsor
when we
meeting
do
with
the
Farmington
actual,
Tap House.
Oh, I thought he already said yes.
Wants to go iron out details.
I'll bring your iron.
So we might wind up with a Farmington sign in the back, Tap House sign in the back or something.
oh, this is dope. All right, so this is gonna look great. So we got
Pumped.
Potenza Sports.
Yeah, 7-on-7. I got my hand over for bowling.
display one. Picture. Okay, we are just about going live here.
I think it'd be kind of funny to put in there. Should we or no?
I'll say I'll go live at 11 and Mike will be here at 11:04.
Like clockwork.
Mike is the most consistently late guy in human history. 4 minutes everywhere he goes. I'm sure he got here today at 10:04, 10:34.
I think I pulled into the parking lot at like 10:32, but by the time I got down here,
See?
it was 10:34. It's weird.
Mike thinks as long as he's on site, like in the parking lot on time, he's on time. And then it's
I'm
just
the
the
same
4 minutes
dude,
to
I'm
walk
very
in.
sorry. Except much later.
Honestly,
Except
this-
now that I have
much
this
later.
business, I've had to fucking totally change who I am as a fucking person because it wasn't sustainable.
Yeah, you got to be a responsible adult.
Yep. It's extremely
You gotta
difficult
fake
for
it
me.
for a while.
Yep. So, all right.
Yeah, this morning Sam leaves for work and she's like, "So Lily puked. Gotta get the kid ready, feed her, change her, do all that shit.
It's like I have an hour.
You gotta get her bag ready. You gotta get your stuff ready, and me shower and get ready."
Okay, let's do a quick sound test. Just if each of you, so you're not leaning into the mic going testing, testing. Just talk how you would kind of on the show. So just tell me about your morning when we do a sound test, and it's very fast. So let's go ahead, Mike.
All right, my morning sucked because I have a 6-month-old that I had to do everything for this morning.
Can you tell me more?
Yeah. So woke up. My girlfriend was like, "Hey, so our corgi puked on our bedroom floor. You got to clean that up. You got to go get the kid ready, feed her, change her. You got to get her diaper bag ready, and then you got to, make sure you clean your pits and shit too before you head out the door."
Okay. And then Nick?
My morning was pretty chill. Got up, had some coffee, thought about every which way this podcast is going to take me to the moon. Worked for a little bit, drove here, took a meeting.
Good.
Really just kind of enjoyed life on
Two
a Thursday.
different lives.
Right? Mike is living the
Yes.
responsible adult lifestyle. I got up this morning and was a daydreamer.
Yeah.
So that's the big
Completely
difference in
different
where we
lives.
come from right now.
That's the funny thing.
He's also the majority of the brains at this table, and I'm very aware of that.
But he's the work, so it works well.
That's a fucking good teammate, actually. So that's good. All right. Let me put this down. And obviously, this doesn't take this long all the time. This is all the
All day one
first
stuff,
time.
right?
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
install day.
It is.
Did you hear Bruce Arians made a comment yesterday that Trask is mentally just like a fraction behind where Andrew Luck was when he came into the league with the Colts?
I did not hear that.
That's an insane statement, by the way.
What NFL team is Trask on?
He's Brady's backup
Is he?
with the Bucs. So he'll start 5 years from now when Brady's 50 and has decided to retire, like Adam Vinatieri.
Or he'll get traded in like year 3 of his contract, like Jimmy G,
Yep. As Tom Brady's backup.
as Tom Brady's backup.
How long can he do that for? Like you get
Dude, I saw a picture yesterday of his rookie year photo to like now. It's like, hey, you're not ugly. You're just poor.
Oh, I did. I saw that same photo and I thought the exact same thing.
Cool.
Tom Brady.
Oh, I thought you were talking about how ugly Luck was.
No, it was just showing a photo of like Brady this past season.
I actually
versus his
felt
rookie
bad
year.
for a fucking star NFL quarterback because of his looks. That's how ugly Andrew Luck it was.
And that's who I get told I look like. So thanks for that game.
If
Well,
you look,
guess what?
If you can get Mike to take his hat off when his hair's shorter too, he
Yeah,
looks
it's
like the
bad.
spitting image of Matt Hasselback.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, I can see that. But like, I actually can see the Luck, like why someone would say that, but you don't at all, so it's okay.
Yeah, I get like a combination of Luck and Flacco. Like,
Yeah.
I have a buzz cut and shit. And
The Matt when you had no hair and you let your beard grow out, I was like, oh, dude. Matty Hasselback from the Seahawks is my flag football quarterback. Let's go.
moves about the same too.
Yeah, stiff, great arm. Super smart, kind of funny.
Stiff capital letters.
Stiff with a PH.
Right.
Stiff.
Right. Let's do the pre-show, so now we'll connect to, because we're not doing sound on that shit anyway. Dope. All right, guys, we're going to connect to Facebook. So I'll let you know when we're live, and then obviously we're going to share and all that shit. So,
Perfect.
all right.
Sounds awesome.
Sound good to me, man.
No comment on that one right there. This guy just looks pissed off.
Oh, the lady's face I'm talking about. Look at 3 rows down.
Oh,
She's like,
she's seeing it.
she's
coming.
like, beat his ass.
She's seeing it coming. I wonder who was talking shit first. Probably the Rockies guy.
Willing to bet it's the Rockies fan because
They're
they're
at a
like one of the
Rockies game, right?
worst teams in baseball.
Okay, we should be live on your channel.
Woo!
So
welcome.
yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Get some music going. We'll let the people know that we'll be starting very shortly here. So we're going to share it. If anyone's watching, please share it as well.
Absolutely.
And you guys should definitely share it to your pages.
It's part of that whole be a friend, tell a friend thing, right?
Right.
Yeah, it doesn't mean shit to them.
No. Yeah, what do
You
you
don't
care?
have to like you guys to do it.
What's one extra text message to a person you don't respond with or talk with anymore, huh?
Or go knock on their door.
Like that ex-girlfriend, make sure to send her a link of this just to piss her off.
And she's actually in the group chat I'm sending out right now.
There you go.
We should look at the page too, obviously, just to make sure. I'm checking currently, but For us all to watch each other's backs with that stuff. Come on.
Dude, I can't not head nod to this intro though.
That's kind of the point. I was really jealous of the Pat McAfee show one where he's like, "That show starts right," and the beat drops, and he goes, "Now." I wanted something like that.
Well, this is great.
It doesn't. I don't see anything on the page, but
You refresh it.
yeah, I did.
Here.
Oh, maybe I can't see it because I'm logged in as an admin.
That's probably what it is.
Doesn't really matter to me though. Gabe, whenever you can get me the clip, I can send out, or the URL, I can send it out.
And out there for the audience, anyone watching, we just want to let you know that you can comment during the show, and you'll see the comments on screen. So if you think these guys are being dipshits, this is your opportunity to let them know publicly.
Yeah, let us know, please.
Yeah.
It's the one and only time, folks. I'll let you say it to me and get away with it more than likely. So
Let's see here. Okay, so I'm just connecting the live chat, and we'll be ready to go.
perfecto.
Sounds great.
Did you get me that URL, Gabe?
Oh, you just have to go to your page and then share it from that anyway. But yeah, because I'm doing too much pre-show stuff to send you that text with that.
I got you.
Yeah.
Come on, Gabe.
Oh, we are live.
Photo
Check
Yeah.
that out. Look at that, Mikey.
I wasn't making it
Cool.
up. This isn't a big sham.
I would hope not. We're this far
Right.
into it, right?
Right?
Like, by the way, this is.
I'd be very committed to this. All right, and I'm going to get that. And we'll be ready in 1 minute.
Awesome.
And obviously, any audience watching also, like if you let us know that you can hear us, if you can kind of comment in the box, you know,
Probably turn myself.
Let us know what you're thinking.
right.
Yeah. Try to figure out why Mike's wearing a hoodie today and it's 95 degrees outside.
Holy shit.
I wondered that right away.
Man cannot be comfortable.
You've got, like, you just look weird. You've got peel from a sunburn and a
then-
hoodie on.
And then a hoodie. Well, maybe I'm trying to protect the sunburn.
Fair enough. You're protecting your sunburn?
Yeah. Because I don't want to get burnt. I don't know. I got burnt in 70-degree fucking weather, so I don't know. Didn't make any sense.
It's all good.
And it was 74. Didn't think I'd get burnt.
How much time do you spend outside?
All right, guys, if you shared and all that stuff, if you're done, then take it away at your leisure.
Alrighty.
Fantastic. All right, ladies and gentlemen, back with absolutely zero demand. The show, formerly known as MN Sports Talk, has rebranded, and we are live now from MBC Studios here in the Twin Cities as the Glass Half Sports Talk podcast. We will be with you guys on Thursdays around 11-ish. As you can see, it's past 11 right now. Obviously, we're not the most punctual people in the world, but we'll try to be better at it.
At least 4 minutes late.
Yeah, Mike is the most consistently late person on the planet, and I guess that's a pretty good introduction to him. So I'll kick it over, Mike. Why don't you introduce yourself, say hello to the folks, tell them a little bit about you.
Hello, everybody. Really quick. So I was a 3-sport athlete for as long as I can remember. Have always had a great passion for sports. Played basketball, baseball, and football. Coached all 3. Coached hockey. Still coaching football at the high school level. So sports have always been a large part of my life. And this opportunity is something that we started during COVID, just talking sports and allowing our opinions to kind of get out there in the ether. Because Nick and I feel like we have some decently good takes on the sports world, and we'd like your opinion on those takes. So please feel free to comment as we go through stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Feel like, comment, share, subscribe. Do everything that you guys need to do to make sure that any opinion you have that either agrees right alongside us or you think we're absolutely fucking crazy, go ahead and comment about that as well. Myself, Nick Huffman here. I, much like Mike, was a four-sport athlete all the way through high school. Did not play any college ball. Went into the Marine Corps and decided to live vicariously through my love-hate relationships with Minnesota sports teams. At some point in my life, I would like to get a championship, but that's a big part of the reason why I want to do this. We're going to hold the Wilfs, the Polads, anybody who's up there in ownership accountable. This is going to be a no holds barred show, so it's not going to be any of this this softer stuff that I feel like it's kicked around a lot of Minnesota media these days, protecting a lot of these people. So if you want to go ahead and give us a follow and get updates on what we're doing on a regular basis, I know you can find us on our social media platforms. We are Glass Half Sports Talk on both YouTube and Instagram, and then Glass Half Sports on Facebook and Twitter. Be a friend, tell a friend, much like we said in the intro. We'll get this thing rolling, and without further ado, I guess we can kind of kick up into our first segment here, and in order to be respectful of the most responsible or important position, I think, in sports, I'm going to let our resident quarterback talk about a quarterback.
All right, so everybody, unless you've been living under a rock, you've heard about the Aaron Rodgers drama in Green Bay. Now, first of all, I'd like to say I think Rodgers is a drama queen. It seems like there's Rodgers drama every other year, if not every year. Something the Packers said, something the Packers did is just not sitting well with him, and he makes sure to let everybody know. So Rodgers is a drama queen. Want to get that out of the way first and foremost, so we'll see if anything from this offseason actually materializes from anything, or if it's just him throwing his usual fit. So I'm going to kind of go inside the mind of Aaron Rodgers right now. He thinks that the Packers have continuously failed to bring in talent around him. Mm-hmm. So if you look at their past drafts, bringing in Jordan Love, bringing in a running back, or not beefing up the defense the way that he thought, he doesn't really have any first-round receivers throughout his career. However, when you look at the weapons that they have brought around him, Devontae Adams, Robert Tonyan is even one of the better tight ends these days. Jordy Nelson, Greg Jennings, he has had weapons around him. He just doesn't like them because they're not the first-round receiver, the bright, shiny new weapon. And I'm just curious kind of what the character of 12 shows in the offseason, and maybe that's the reason they haven't been able to get over the hump versus not having the weapons that he's necessarily wanted.
Yeah, and it's very interesting because there was a time frame there where all the way up until last year before he went and got on the Pat McAfee show, everybody thought the same three things. Not a great teammate.
Yep.
Difficult to work and coach with, right? And very aloof, California cool, not very much fitting the Green Bay Packers system, the style, the blue collar. I'm going to work for you, And so then he does this run on the Pat McAfee show. He gets all this positive PR about being this California cool kid, hanging out with AJ Hawk, just talking football. And I actually didn't mind that side of Aaron Rodgers, but now part of me thinks that he's throwing another temper tantrum. Was that all positive PR spin? Was this planned? Did he want to get out of Green Bay the whole time and needed to prove that he wasn't a locker room cancer?
I mean, I think it's definitely possible. I would give him credit in that he's an intelligent guy and has foresight throughout his career. It's interesting when we look at the dynamic between the two Hall of Fame quarterbacks that the Packers have had for the past 30 years. Brett Favre is the ultimate team guy.
3, if you count Bart Starr. All 3 of them, by the way, playing 16 seasons maximum in a Green Bay Packers uniform. Aaron Rodgers this year would be year 17.
Interesting take right there. I just meant back-to-back as far as they've truly had Hall of Fame quarterbacks for 30-plus years back-to-back. And the dynamic between the two could not be more different, right? Brett Favre is the ultimate team guy, playing for the love of the game. He's basically a kid in a candy store when he steps onto the football field. Rodgers, if you told Rodgers that he wasn't going to get paid this season, I don't know if he'd come out and play.
Yeah, that's probably true. He'd probably go to Jeopardy, right?
Yeah.
By the way, Jeopardy. Killed it as a host. If the man wants the job, give it to him, because that's probably the only way I'm ever going to watch that show post the death of the late, great, his name's escaping me now, Alex Trebek. But yeah, it just doesn't make any sense to me, right? And I understand that Aaron Rodgers thinks, the Packers have done me wrong. And you're right. 19 first-round picks in his tenure there, and I think 3 of them have been on the offensive side of the ball.
No receivers.
So, I get your frustration, but at the other, point or linchpin to this. When you're a quarterback the caliber of Aaron Rodgers and you're asking for that kind of money, and you'll hear me make a very similar argument when we talk about Kirk Cousins, I don't need to get you a weapon. You are the weapon. Right. Peyton Manning made guys that were nobodies as receivers absolute stud. Tom Brady did it. I'm sure there's other quarterbacks throughout history that I'm just like not thinking of right now that have elevated the play of the weapons that they have. Not to say that Aaron Rodgers hasn't, but when you've been to as close to the mountaintop as he has been over the last 16 years, for the Packers and Aaron Rodgers to only have one Super Bowl to show for it, I understand why both sides could be frustrated.
Right. I would be frustrated as the Packers, to be honest, because I think they have more of a right to be frustrated than Aaron Rodgers does. Like, they've invested in Rodgers, his career. They have beefed up the defense. They have given him a great running back, a great running game. They're not winning championships because of 12.
I agree. And by the way, if you're the Green Bay Packers, like, organization, and you're going to sit there and still tell me that you don't need an owner, when this is the second time, you're right, 30 years of top 5 quarterback play. Mm-hmm. You have 2 Super Bowls to show for it, and the end of both have been extremely messy. It's time for you to get somebody who, for lack of a better term, can kind of come in, put nuts on the table, and be like, sit down, shut the fuck up. We need to play football and win championships if you want me to pay you. Because he's going to be beloved by the public as long as he wins, right? Because winning is the best deodorant for just about anything that you can do in sports.
It doesn't necessarily even need to be an owner, but even the GM just needs to they need to bring somebody in that's not scared of Aaron Rodgers, right? So Gutekunst is scared of Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion.
Is he?
I personally believe so. Like, if push came to shove, Rodgers would be the quarterback for the Packers and Gutekunst would be out, possibly. I think that the Packers, as a whole front office, like, if it was between those two, it would come down to Aaron Rodgers winning that battle. But because of the entire Packers front office, I think LaFleur has a set of nuts on him a little bit, more than McCarthy when it comes to Rodgers. I think that's going to be the swinging point, and Rodgers is actually going to be out.
Well, I also think that Aaron has a more respectable relationship with LaFleur, right? That's a partnership.
Right now.
That's a partnership. You know what I mean? And if you're Matt LaFleur, how scared are you? Right? Like, do we know
I don't think you're that scared, though, because that defense is solid. You have a great running back, and Jordan Love, like,
can't hit a net running forward at 6 yards. Everybody saw the video last year, right? He's not ready to play.
I think
there's a reason they signed Blake Gabbert.
Their offense would change dramatically with bringing Jordan Love in. They wouldn't be able to throw the ball 40 times a game.
Right.
They would be basically very similar to the Minnesota Vikings as far as run and play defense, but they would be extremely successful at that style of play, in my opinion. So maybe not 13-3 successful, but definitely playoffs, contending for the NFC North.
That's true, but I think if you subtract Rodgers from that organization as a whole isn't going to know what to do without a guy in the building.
We'll see. And the other thing is if Rodgers leaves, then you're looking at the domino effect, right? So Devontae Adams could be out.
And he came out and said that already. He's like, I obviously love it here, but if my guy's not going to be here, I don't know if I'm good. Like, you're going to start to clean house. It's going to be exactly what happened in Indianapolis when Peyton left, right? It's going to be the same thing that happened in New England when Brady left. You're going to get a reset year, and it's going to suck, and I absolutely love it because fuck the Packers. But what fixes the situation, right?
Honestly, there's no short-term fix, in my opinion, because even if you keep Rodgers, there's going to be some sour feelings and shit's going to happen, and then you're going to be basically dealing with the drama of 12 that's going to be between you and a Lombardi trophy again. Like, they may go 12-5 and go into the playoffs, but they're not going to climb that mountain because you're dealing with outside shit that affects the on-field play.
I agree.
Like, any football player knows you need to have that buddy's back no matter what. And when you don't trust the guy that you're blocking for or that you're catching from, shit goes haywire.
No, 100%.
All split second. So
100%.
I think the best long-term solution is get rid of Rodgers, clean house, contend in 2 or 3 years again because they have the talent to do so.
I would agree. I think if you want to keep him in-house, there's 2 options. There's 2 avenues you can take, right? Obviously, there's a certain dollar amount that's going to get him to just shut up and play football, right? And that's what he wants. He wants to know that for the next 5 to 6 years, I would assume, that this money is secured, it's guaranteed, it's there, he's going to get paid. He's the guy.
Right.
But then if you look at all of the quarterbacks across the league that are making the playoffs right now, none of them are the top-paid quarterbacks.
Exactly.
Like the first year that they did all the guaranteed money with Kirk, and then all those other deals ran in, none of the top 10 quarterbacks made the playoffs. So if you're Aaron Rodgers, then as a fan, if Aaron Rodgers takes that money as a fan, do you sit back and go, okay, well, now you're just being selfish, right? Now you are the reason. Now you really are the reason we're not winning. Or you go out and get him a weapon, which is going to lead us right into our next topic here. There are weapons that have said that they want out. And if you're the Packers and you want to remedy this issue, this should have, like, I know we got that post-June 1 date or whatever for Memorial Day. It should have happened at midnight, right? If you have the ability to go out and make the Julio Jones thing work, make that work. Allen Robinson is available and out there and has said he wants out of Chicago. Is that going to stay the same because Justin Fields is there now? Who knows?
So what do you see as the most realistic thing happening like this summer with Rodgers?
I think he plays.
For who?
Green Bay.
Okay.
I don't think there's much of it. Like, as much as we want to say, hey, where there's smoke, there's fire. There's definitely fire here. This has happened year in and year out now.
Right. And it's because of Rodgers' attitude.
Right. But I think the Packers actually find themselves, and I heard somebody say this yesterday. I wish I could give them credit, but I don't remember who it is. The Packers are in a very similar situation to what the Vikings are in right now. Quarterback holds all the chips. If you want to win, that guy's got to be there. But that guy also has a contract that's expiring and needs to continue to prove that he can play if he wants to get traded. Right? So I think Aaron's going to have to play, and I think this is a next offseason issue. I think this rolls all the way through. He probably doesn't show up till 2 or 3 weeks before opener.
Yeah. So
he shows up in shape, he plays, and if we get pouty Aaron Rodgers like when he wanted Mike McCarthy fired, you know Aaron's the problem and no team's going to want him. Right? Or he shows up and he plays well and competes for another MVP like he did last year because he is the most talented ball thrower minus Patrick Mahomes in the NFL right now. And you can trade him for whatever value you want.
So if I was a betting man, I would bet very little that he actually ends up in a Broncos uniform by week 1.
Yeah, there were rumors out there that he was playing golf.
51-49. Yeah, so there's some shit out there that there's some behind-the-scenes stuff going on with Denver.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised to see him in a Denver uniform by week 1. However, it's kind of a 51-49 thing. So I think the odds are he's technically in Denver, but I wouldn't be too shocked if he's still in Green Bay by the fall.
Yeah.
And as a Vikings fan, I almost want him to still be in Green Bay.
Yeah,
because I think it's going to sour everybody else around him.
When the Packers suck, we love that. That's
exactly.
Hey, facts for the show, right? If you're a Packers fan, you can yell at me all you want, but when you suck, my life gets incrementally better. There's 2 more Sundays throughout the course of the year where I don't have to stress.
On an NFL Sunday, the Minnesota Vikings and whoever's playing the Packers.
Damn straight. Now, the next thing that we can move on to then is, I suppose, a guy that you could bring in as a weapon to absolutely more than just solve this issue with Aaron Rodgers, which is Julio freaking Jones, the monster of wide receivers. He's more respected in the league from everything that we've heard by cornerbacks and wide receivers than anyone else. Right? He's dominant. He's consistent. He's a big body receiver. You figure he'd work in any system. And now we know he wants out of Atlanta, right? The initial thought process was, do they need to trade him in order to create cap space to pay the rookies? Well, no, he asked for a trade, and the Falcons are doing the right thing. They're just like, okay, we want to try to accommodate you. You want to go win. Let's try to find a good suitor.
Right. It's the one thing they've done right.
Right. So my first question is, what do you think his trade value is?
I don't think it's as high as you think. I know that. I know you think it's much higher than I think so. Like, I'm shocked they're actually getting first-round offers for him.
What?
To be honest, I am shocked.
Michael.
Just saying.
Okay. If he goes to, everybody says there's going to be a one out there. Is it a future one? If you can get a next year,
I would say maybe a future one, but not this coming draft one.
If it's this year and I'm the Packers and I call Atlanta and I go, hey, I have a quarterback problem. I do have the cap space to make this work. I will give you a second, a third next year, and Lazard, you give me Julio.
I feel like Jordan Love would have to be in that deal.
Right, because then he becomes the successor for
and it would
Matt Ryan.
Help appease Rodgers' sensitivities.
Right, so I think that's an option. But there are so many teams in the NFL that need him, and somebody's going to get him for a ridiculously low price, and there are going to be 29 other teams that go, oh, God damn it. That's exactly what's going to happen. So all the teams that you saw up on the image, right?
Every team in the NFL should be.
Yeah, they should.
I disagree, though. He's 33 years old. If you already have weapons at the receiver position, so like the Vikings have no reason to go out and get Julio.
Wrong.
They already. How am I wrong?
Wrong. We have $14.2 million in cap space available now that Kyle Root has come off the books, right?
Okay.
Julio's contract this year is only worth 15. So you ask him to renegotiate some of that money into next year. Do you know, because of his guaranteed money, what he's worth next year and then the year after that?
I don't.
11.2. So you're going to get a 90 reception, 1,200 yard, 8 touchdown per year guy.
I just don't
at
see those
$11
numbers being the
million.
exact same when you have Thielen and Jefferson as well.
But
the production wouldn't remain the
look
same.
at Tampa.
On some
Look at Kansas
NFL
City.
Teams.
Look at Tampa. Look at Kansas City. Look at the way the Chargers have tooled up. Look at the Browns. Look at, if you're not a team that doesn't have speed on the outside,
the Browns are a
and
perfect
weapons,
example.
you
Look at
can't
the
win.
production that fell off from Jarvis Landry and Odell when they started playing together instead of being the one at their spots.
That's not even an accurate comparison because neither one of them have played consistently enough in Stefanski's system to know if that was if those numbers were
Stefanski's
fluke.
system doesn't fit them either because he's a run first.
Which is why they have Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Regardless, so I wanted to go through real quick with you, and I just wanted to get your thoughts because I think there are some teams, and if you put that graphic back up, you can see who they are, that have very valid reasons that can't afford him.
Yes, there are 2 teams on that graphic that have valid reasons that I could like. There's 2 teams up there that Julio should actually be considering. The other 3 are incorrect in my opinion.
Okay, so I'm going to start with the one that I think that he needs to go to the worst, which is going to be the Baltimore Ravens. Okay,
That's one of the 2.
Couple of reasons why. You can make it work cap wise. You just have to shift the money because they'll have the cap space this year or next year, but this year it's just really tight. You'd probably have to get rid of like a 3rd string guard, like some depth players, maybe one of your lesser wide receivers to make the money work.
Right.
But then you get Julio. The reason why that makes sense is a couple of reasons. One, he goes from one dirty bird team to the other. Gotta love that. He feels like he fits that system. He's a big physical receiver, and everybody has said that Lamar needs a true number 1 weapon so you can figure out whether or not you want to pay him, right? He's got this year left on his rookie contract, and then I think one more on a team option. Otherwise, they've got to resign him. So in reality, if you wanted to do rookie deal, and a franchise tag, which is the 3 years left that Julio has left on his contract, you're going to get 3 consistent years of can Lamar get the job done throwing the football. Change the narrative. Take pressure off Sammy Watkins. You're going to open up the field for Hollywood Brown to move around in the slot. You're going to do things, and then you go, okay, Lamar is worth it. Okay, you can find out in year 1 or 2, and you can pay him, or you can wait till year 3, and if it doesn't work, you can trade Lamar to a system where you think it can work. He's got an MVP trophy. He's going to have high trade value. So if you're Harbaugh and you're not, I would dial the Falcons' phone until they blocked my phone number if I was the Ravens.
See, I agree that the Ravens are a great suitor and a great prospect for him, but for different reasons. So I think Lamar has proven himself. As long as Lamar stays healthy and can run the way that he can run, like barring a severe knee injury or something like that would slow his running game down, I think he's proven that he can be effective in the NFL as a running quarterback.
Yep.
He can throw well enough.
Needs to improve.
He needs to improve, but what they really need to get over that hump is to get pressure off of that extremely effective run game. When you're facing 8-man boxes, I mean, it's going to be tough for Lamar to throw just because he's under that severe pressure as well. Defenses bring pressure like crazy because they have to suffocate the run game of the Ravens because it is so effective. If you put a Julio outside, if you put 8 men in the box, we're just going to throw a jump ball to Julio, and my grandmother could do that. So it doesn't matter whether it's Lamar or Jeff Driscoll dropping back for the Baltimore Ravens. If you have Julio Jones outside, it's going to take pressure off your extremely effective run game.
True.
And I don't think it has anything to do with whether or not Lamar has proven himself or if he's going to be the quarterback of the future for the Ravens. If he's not, the Ravens are already fucking up.
Well, I don't think they know, right? Because you got to look at the RG3 experiment one, and then we'll kind of move on into this other team.
Knee injury slowed down.
Right, you got to look at the RG3 experiment, and then you also got to go, what other young quarterbacks got paid early and were garbage after they got paid? It just happened to Goff. Mm-hmm. It just happened to Carson Wentz. We have no idea what Dak Prescott's going to be like now that he's been paid. So I think there's starting to become this narrative of, I'm not going to pay you until you can prove it. Right? And you have to do that if you're Baltimore. They went through a situation where they paid Joe Flacco, and Joe Flacco spent the next 6 years sleeping on his face instead of going to practice.
So you're saying, though, it doesn't matter how much they prove themselves in years 1 through 3, it's that contract year that they have to prove it. Because I feel like Lamar has done, and he is the reason Baltimore has been elevated.
Yeah.
Am I wrong?
No, you're completely right.
Okay, so he's proven himself. Done deal.
He's a runner, so you have to be more cautious. And that's
as long as he doesn't get hurt and can run, you're good.
Right. Okay, so let's move on to the next one. Then you've got the Colts, right? This is another one of those scenarios. The guy was paid early. Now he's in a new city. Ty is aging.
Back with Frank Reich.
Back with Frank Reich, which is awesome because he almost won an MVP before he broke his back, right? But then you've got an aging T.Y. Hilton you can roll off of, which he's really productive, okay? Pittman is growing and is a big physical receiver, just like Julio. It's a perfect guy to learn from.
Pittman
you can
and
afford
Julio
it.
1 and 2 would be dangerous.
Your offensive line is legitimate. You've got 2 really good running. Like, if you want to make a run right now, and with some of the stuff that's going on in that division, you could blow the doors off everybody like the Colts of old, right? You go out and you make that move. That opens up
it's
that
a race
offense.
to 50. I mean, their defense isn't horrible, but it would be a race to 50 type offense.
Right. The only concern is I know that they got to do that middle linebacker, Leonard, and he's looking for top
Buku
tier
bucks.
money,
Yep.
right?
I mean, he
and
deserves it.
Rightfully so. One of the best tackling linebacker, like just
He
ball hunting
flies.
linebackers in the league. Then you've got the Titans. He fits that scheme. Big Frank Vogel would eat that up. A big physical guy like Julio Jones to go alongside A.J. Brown. You've got Derrick Henry. They lost a target in Delaney Walker, who's been gone for 2 years now, but he broke his leg partway through one season and then sat out due to COVID. But that kind of gives Tannehill a weapon back. They're in win now mode right now, anyways.
I mean, it's the same argument that I made for the Ravens, right? An extremely effective run game.
Yeah.
And A.J. Brown does a decent job of taking pressure off of that run game. But if you have A.J. Brown and Julio, you can't stack the box. You have like maximum 7 in the box.
And
Derrick Henry will just eat that up.
Tannehill's the best when he's on the move, right? So then you have something where you run those play action plays, and if for 3 years all you're asking Julio to do is the old Randy Moss, Tom Brady connection, I want you to run either a dig, a post, a go, or a comeback. That's all I need you to run on play action. Tannehill's going to be on the move. They're going to have a lot of focus on Derrick Henry. It's going to leave somebody open. So the Titans make sense. The Niners, obviously, reconnecting him with Kyle Shanahan would make sense, right? And then you've also got, then if you bring Julio in, because I know they're in a little bit of cap trouble, do you then feel comfortable enough with the weapons that you have where you can go out, trade Jimmy G, start Trey Lance like you want, and he's got a security blanket wide receiver that is a proven number 1 dude to go along, guys.
So if
with
you're
Kittle,
Julio Jones, though, you're really going to go to a team that's going to start a rookie quarterback.
Atlanta was in talks to draft one of these athletic quarterbacks. I'm sure Julio has watched some of the tape. But
you're telling me you're 33-year-old Julio Jones who wants to win a ring, and you're really considering the 49ers who, if basically you went there, Jimmy G is probably up.
Yes, but I think the tipping point is more the fact that Shanahan is the coach, and when Shanahan was the offensive coordinator in Atlanta, Julio had his best seasons. That's where he caught 136 balls. Right? So, and then last but not least, and for the love of God, don't let this happen. Bill Belichick stealing him, putting him in New England with all of the weapons that he spent. I have a feeling that Bill Belichick is very much on the path of like a spite Super Bowl for Tom Brady now that Tom's got one and he doesn't. Go out, get him, play him with Cam, who you were paying nothing for. Or you can play him with Mac Jones, who's used to having real great talent out on the edge. And
Did you see Mac Jones's number in camp?
50.
Yeah. Just had it.
He's a scrub.
That was interesting.
He's a scrub.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk about this in another segment, but there are 3 schools you should never draft quarterbacks from, right?
Yeah.
One of them is Alabama,
Ohio State,
and USC.
There you go.
Right? They play with the best guys in college, and then they get to the pros, and they're like, oh, wow, I really was elevated by everybody.
My
around
open
me.
by 3 yards. What do I do?
Yeah, oh, no, I don't know. Look at the way Tua struggles. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is why I'm glad the
the
Bears
two
took Fields.
teams, if I am Julio Jones right now, the best 2 teams to go to are the Ravens or Titans, in my opinion. They're both run-heavy teams.
They're gonna accommodate him, but he doesn't.
I understand that. I'm just saying, like, those are the 2 teams that I'm hoping for.
So who does he play for in 2021?
Probably the Ravens.
Probably the Ravens.
I would say probably the Ravens.
If they get the Ravens.
If he goes to
if
the
he gets
Ravens,
the Ravens,
they're one of the favorites in the
My
AFC
God.
by far.
Well, that's your chance, right? You got a 3-year winning window.
Yeah.
Right? That's pretty much what it turns over to. And you got to think this year's just going to be a wild year for football in general. Watson seems to be getting clear of some of this stuff, and he wants out.
Yep.
Russ is happy in Seattle for now. Who knows if that's going to continue?
That'll change week 3.
Yeah, week 3 when they're running the ball 90 times and he's thrown it 4 times. They treat him like Jimmy Garoppolo for a guy
either
that
that
can
or
absolutely
he's thrown
toss
it
the rock.
60 times and it's on the run because he has no line.
Exactly, which they did not address.
Right.
Go figure. And so there's still more things to come. Like Baker hasn't been re-signed, Lamar hasn't been re-signed. Like Jimmy G's possibly going to be on the move.
You know what I'm looking forward to? the most in the NFL season this year is fans are back week 1.
Oh, I love that. Actually, there's one stadium that has not allowed full. The Indianapolis Colts. I was listening to this yesterday. They're the only team that doesn't have clearance to do full stadiums. The only one. Minnesota's got it, so that's probably the only thing we've done right during the entire pandemic. I'll get yelled at for that online, but oh well. So yeah.
Different topic for a different day.
I mean, we can stay on the topic of fans if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, Mike would like to address the public about some recent activities that have been occurring in sports stadiums since we have all come back out of our COVID comatose, I guess.
So the first thing that I have to do is ask fans pretty much all around, what the fuck is wrong with you people? I have to give a little credit. I've heard other sports talk, and podcasts, and I think it was on SportsCenter as well. They addressed this. What do you as a fan think that you deserve for a $100 ticket to a game?
Are you asking me?
Sure. I'm asking anybody, because the behavior that we've seen, especially lately, out of fans is despicable. Like, it's
so bad.
If
it
I
makes
was a
for good
player,
television.
I would want to go back to the COVID shit. Like, go back to behind your TV. Like, I'm not going to get popcorn thrown on me. I'm not going to get water bottles. There's not going to be fighting in the stands. Like, this is ridiculous. These are grown-ass people acting like children at professional sporting events.
I agree. Please let us know what you feel like you deserve when you buy a ticket. Not that tickets aren't outrageously overpriced, and I think that may have something to do with it. Unless you're a Twins fan, by the way. Those are $17 because they suck.
They're giving them away.
But if I go, I feel like I have the ability to yell whatever the hell I want from my seat.
So I disagree with that. I think that there's we might as well just kind of start it. So I don't think that you can yell whatever the fuck that you want. I think that it has to pertain to the sporting. So let me ask you this. So if you went online, let's say you're at US Bank watching Packers-Vikings.
Yeah.
And you're screaming at Rodgers about Shailene Woodley.
Oh, I'm about it.
Yeah?
Yeah.
To me, I feel like that crosses that line. I don't think that you should necessarily get kicked out of the game for it. But I think personally, I think that that's like classless of a fan to do.
True. Fan is derived from the term fanatic, so they're always going to be a little crazy, right? Like, that's kind of how I've always seen it. Also, I think it differs by sport, right?
Sure, I would
Football,
agree with that.
you're 10 feet elevated from the field. Ron Artest isn't going to run up into the stands and, push your fade back for talking some shit. You know what I mean? That's football. Right. Basketball, you're sitting on top of these athletes. You do have to be super respectful when you go to that sport, because that's a professional athlete. I don't care how tough you think you are. I don't care how much you lift in your free time. I don't care how many 3-pointers you can hit. If you dump popcorn on Westbrook and he jumps up 4 flights of steps to choke slam you and the guards can't get him, that's on you.
So for those of you who haven't seen the fan dumping corn on, or the popcorn on Russ, maybe we can pull that up here, just for those of you who haven't yet seen that. The whole thing goes back to, if you're going to be a fan of a team, be a fan of that team.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything against. So here's the clip. Westbrook was injured, leaving the game. This is a playoff game. Correct me if I'm wrong.
No, this was all this stuff that happened in the NBA, by the way, first round of the playoffs. And it's all NBA, besides the Rockies clip, but.
But I mean, you can go back in time too, like Philadelphia Eagles fans throwing snowballs at Santa.
That's different. Santa's not a player.
Well, still though, like, it's just disrespect from fans.
Right. And
so
by the way,
thank God the event staff is there, or else we have another Ron Artest situation.
Thank God all 9 of that event staff are there. Like, can we talk about that for a minute? Russ would have had free reign to get back up into the stands had all of those people not been standing there. Trae Young if we've got that clip, we can run that one next. Trae Young got spit on during the Knicks series. Like,
it's pure disrespect. Like, these people don't remember the values that they were taught as children. Like, would you want your kid to see you acting that way?
No.
Ever.
No.
Never, ever. And honestly, if fans continue to act this way, I have a 6-month-old daughter at home. I'm feeling a certain type of way about bringing her to a professional sporting event. If this is the way that grown people are going to act.
That's true. I will also argue that maybe certain sections of sporting events aren't for children, right? If you're going to sit down near the court or down near the field, it's the guy in this black jersey that leans forward right here, and you can't even really see it on the video, but you can see he obviously feels it, and the lady behind him is like, oh, I just got fucking spit on. You know what I mean? So, like, He gets spit on. Then you've got, can we run the Rockies clip? Because I think that.
I haven't even seen this one yet.
Mike, you're going to love this. This was like 3 days after opener.
Okay.
When they started letting people back into baseball parks, right? So this is a Padres-Rockies game.
Looks like it's at Colorado.
Colorado. Boom!
Oh,
dude's
shit.
out.
You went
out,
limp, bud.
Out.
Yeah, I don't know what this guy was thinking.
I have seen less painful knockouts in the UFC, by the way.
Definitely.
But don't do this.
This guy went.
Don't do. Look,
Done.
He sent his glasses 2 rows back. Like, but don't. I'm not encouraging this. It is kind of funny to watch on this side, right? But don't do that.
No.
Don't. You can't. There are certain things that you're good to do. If you buy a ticket to a sporting event, sit in your seat, yell, holler, drink beer. Talk shit with your friends. Don't talk shit to opposing fans 3 sections down because you don't know at this day and age what anybody is capable of. Right? But I feel like that's what you purchased. It is entertainment on some level.
You purchased the idea of rooting on your team in person. You didn't purchase belittling and assaulting or throwing popcorn on the opponent. That's not what you purchased. You purchased the opportunity to root for your team.
Yeah. No, that's very true. That's very, very true. I don't know. Here's what I'll say. Live like the whole watch your own bobber thing. That's kind of where I'm at with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, be in control of your controllables, even if someone else is irritating you, or if LeBron hangs 50 on your team and you get eliminated from the playoffs. The minute that you decide to take action, not as a fan, but as an individual disrespecting another individual, then it can get handled like individuals handle situations. However that may be, that is what you have opened yourself into when you walk through that door into what would be a proverbial buzzsaw with professional athletes.
So let me ask you this. I'm sure you saw Kyrie stepping on the Boston logo.
Yeah.
Do you think that would have happened had the disrespect not come first from Boston? Like the fans?
See, I go back even further than that. Was it not disrespectful of Boston for the way that they treated Kyrie when he was there and upon his exit? Right? Go. So there's an entire story to be told around the disrespect thing. And even still, if he goes out and stomps on your logo, or T.O. goes out and does the cowboy thing, when he was with the Niners out in the middle of the logo, or Steve Smith does the rowboat thing after the Vikings boating situation.
Or Sean Payton doing the skull chant.
The skull chant, that bit him in the ass, which I loved.
Yep.
But when that happens, that's between that player and that other organization.
Right. It has nothing to do with you personally as a fan. Like, if you feel personally offended, like, you got to take a look at the mirror, because it has nothing to do with you 100%. As Bob Sanderson from White Bear Lake. It's like, dude, it has nothing to do with you.
Bob.
Yeah, sorry, Bob, if you're out there. It's a different conversation. It's a different topic. It's between Kyrie and Boston, like you said.
Right, 100%. 100%. And I feel like the people that do this are always like, yeah, we made it to the Super Bowl.
You did shit.
You did not do a damn thing.
You sat on your couch and watched them from 12 to 3 every Sunday. That's all you did.
Yeah, we appreciate your support, and they're always going to give you credit because that's like the cliche thing to do, but you are not a part of this franchise unless you're a Packers owner.
Right.
Which, I mean, then just because I don't like the Packers, feel free to throw as much popcorn and hot dogs and beer on Aaron Rodgers as you'd like. But
hey, the one video that sticks out when I think of the Packers is that little kid just licking up on the stone banister thing that they have.
Yep. 100%. So yeah, just live in control of who you are and what.
And please let us know. We want to know. I've never known that why Steve Smith did the rowboat.
Yeah, it was right after the scandal.
Yep.
And we played him, and he scored, and he sat down in the end zone, and he was doing this thing. I thought that was hysterical. I remember that vaguely as a kid.
Because we had a scandal on, what was it, Lake Minnetonka?
Something like that.
Yep.
We were doing something we shouldn't have.
Yeah,
as
back
a team.
in the old Mike Tice days.
Mike Tice.
Jesus.
Yeah.
But I want to know what you guys think. What does a ticket to a sporting event get you? Does it get you permission to trash talk with no holds barred? Does it get you permission to throw paper airplanes onto baseball fields? We see that all the fucking time. What does it get you? Where do you draw the line? Because I feel like we would all agree that there's a line somewhere as far as unacceptable fan behavior.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you would think that there's something that becomes unacceptable as a fan.
Yeah.
I want to know what our listeners think where that line is.
Yeah. I agree. I would love to hear what everybody's thoughts are. and maybe we'll, if somebody sends back something funny or actually insightful, we'll get it up on the next show. We can follow back up with this topic, obviously, if you guys want to write in, let us know on any of the social platforms or just comment on live. I agree. I think we need to start to figure out as a society how to be a public society again. Right? It was totally acceptable for you to throw your water bottle at your TV screen during COVID.
Right. Or your popcorn.
Yeah.
But honestly, I personally think that if this continues to go down this road, we're going to start seeing like plexiglass around the courts or fields or something.
I think you're
protecting the players.
I think there's if the NBA looks at everything that has happened over the last 2 years, even with fans,
Right.
and they're not considering pushing those court level seats back, then
I think they're going to have an issue with the NBA Players Union because they have to protect players.
then Gus
All
on
right,
the
interesting.
tanning oil, loved it. Oh wow, well I mean,
No
I don't know
comment there.
if whatever floats your boat.
Yeah,
I guess
that's not. That's all you. That's not crossing a line in my.
Yeah,
book,
no.
so.
If you want to, and I'll get it on video for you. If you want to chug, I mean, that's some like I don't know if that quite qualifies.
That was
for-
probably a Packer fan. Let's be honest.
Yeah, I would have to, or a Jaguars fan, because there's
Or a
nothing better to
Jaguars
do
fan, yeah.
prior to Trevor Lawrence being drafted down in Jacksonville.
So, are we ready for our big show headline topic of the day, or
Well,
do you have
first,
anything to add about the fan frenzy shit that's been going on?
I mean, we can curb the fan frenzy thing for now, but I do want to let people know that eventually this is going to be a very professional production, right? Like, we're going to have a following. There are people that are going to want to watch this. So if any of you out there have something or run a business or own a bar or a pizza place or whatever, this would be right about the time where I would read some exciting ass ad for you, right? If you want to hang something up in the background, send us something. If you would like us to come out and do our live show from your location, we can do that too.
We can.
So like my reading skills may not be the best. Mike has the majority of the brain, so he might be the one that reads it.
I mean,
Feel
you
free to
read all
reach-
right. You just don't spell all right.
It's-
So as long as you spell it and know what the hell that word is,
I need to
we're
speak
good.
the English language at this point.
Right.
Writing it is not a concern for me.
Touche.
Right? So
I'm cool with it.
like this is where I can let you know that if you've got, stuff to shave your balls with, like I see a lot of manscaping, if you've got an alcohol beverage you want to sell, awesome. We'll get drunk on the show using it and show everybody how good a time it can create. Like I really don't care. But this is where your ad would go. It's like right in here
So
in the
this
middle
is
of all
an ad
these
space.
amazing in
Ad
the middle of
space.
these amazing segments.
space
So
right
if
here.
you've got something, reach out to us, let us know. We'd love to be about it. But outside of that, what we can actually move into is our glass half topic of the day. It's going to be a segment that we are going to run pretty consistently on Thursdays towards the end of the show. We'll take one of the biggest topics in sports media, and we are going to decide where's the air, right? So is it glass half full, which means, hey, positive outlook, or glass half empty? And so you guys can all get to know us a little bit better. What we're going to go through today is
The Minnesota sports teams. So we're
Bingo.
the big four. So we're going to go Timberwolves, Wild, Twins, and end with the Vikings. Nick and I are both football primary, I would say.
yeah,
So we're going to end with the Vikings and kind of cap off the show that way.
yeah, and we don't have a coin because we're
Got a water bottle top?
not prepared. Yeah, Mike can flip a water bottle top if he likes.
Oh, shit. You're going to put me on it?
This is great production value. So the way that this works is we're going to pick a team, and this is how it'll work every week. And this is just also to keep me and Mike's brains nice and flexible. Obviously, we're going to have set opinions on specific teams, but you'll flip it. If you get heads, you have to talk about the positive side of things. If you get the negative, feel free to rip in to whoever you want to for glass half empty. And which sports team would you like to start with?
How about you flip for the Timberwolves and go first?
Fair
And then
enough.
I will take the rebuttal, whichever they...
So what you want? Heads, tails?
That makes sense to me.
This is great production value, folks. I'm using a water
we
bottle
have-
top.
Yeah. That's tails.
I love that. I absolutely
Have
love
empty on
that.
The Timberwolves.
All right, so here's my thought on the Minnesota Timberwolves. I didn't agree with the way that they handled everything up until pretty much Karl Anthony Towns, and then they wasted a bunch of time, much like they did at the beginning of Kevin Love's career. They did it at the beginning of Al Jefferson's career. They did it at the beginning of Kevin Garnett's career, where we've got this amazing center player, range, can lead a team, does whatever they need to, and they waste his rookie contract. They may get a second deal, and then he's out the door to some other team, right? So that's kind of what I see. What is it, Glenn Taylor that owns the team?
/ Aaron Rodriguez here. In a year or
Well,
two.
so, and that's an interesting thing. So if you don't know, the Timberwolves were recently sold to
Alex Rodriguez.
Alex Rodriguez
And Mark Laurie, is that right?
yeah, some former CEO or CFO of Walmart, which is
Some very
ironic
wealthy
because
guy.
it's the Target Center.
Yeah.
But either way, they don't take control for 2 more years.
Correct.
He has complete control of the team. He's the guy that I think is holding us back.
Okay.
I really do. At this point in time, like, I understand Anthony Edwards, great draft pick. You want to put asses in seats. You want to win like now and be in the playoffs and take advantage of what prime you have left of Karl Anthony Towns or D'Angelo Russell. You should have taken LaMelo Ball.
Okay. I'll let you.
You
have
should have
your
taken.
airtime.
I don't think he's a bad player.
Waste it with weird fucking takes, but go ahead.
Anyway, you can tell Mike how wrong he is. We eventually will probably install a wrong-o-meter where you guys can just go ahead and.
Whatever, dude.
But for the Wolves, right, you got to look at it. Okay, so your starting 5 right now is Karl Anthony Towns, D'Angelo Russell, Anthony Edwards. Who's our 2? Who plays the 2?
I mean, you got to remember that we had some injuries down the stretch as well.
I
we didn't have Beasley.
Yeah, it would have been nice to have him. Jarrett Culver is obviously coming along too.
Right.
Like, it's not all bad, but we've been in this situation before. Latrell Sprewell, Sam Cassell, Wally Zerbiak, Mark Mad Dog Madsen, and Kevin Garnett. Mm-hmm. He also had Stephon Marbury at one point. We also drafted Chauncey Billups. We passed on Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, that's a different. He didn't want to come here.
So
we kind of got forced into Johnny Flynn. But
regardless, my point being is, as a franchise, good decisions haven't been made. So what confidence should I have in the Timberwolves that moving forward, positive decisions are going to be made? I have none. Alex Rodriguez does not know basketball. Anthony Edwards didn't even know who he was. So that's not a great start.
I mean, it's just a generation gap.
True.
And Anthony Edwards isn't exactly a baseball fan.
True. I mean, I feel like he sits around and uses a lot of vitamins in his free time.
So there's the Timberwolves roster, right? So you don't see that as being a glass half full type roster.
This team does not make the playoffs next year.
That's not going to be the same team next year. Well, first of all, let's look at what they did down the stretch as Anthony Edwards truly got. So let's not forget they switched their head coach.
Yep.
45, 50 games into the season?
Also disagreed with that just because it was.
I love Ryan Saunders,
right,
but he's not an NBA head coach.
Yeah,
he's a great NBA assistant for maybe the next 5 years.
He'll wind up somewhere and win a championship.
The only reason he was the head coach here was because of his last name. Mm-hmm. So, are you done with your half empty take?
I will finish by saying, yeah, the air is definitely more towards the the top of the glass. This is only a glass half full. It doesn't make sense to me. I'm not even confident that you're going to be able to retain Karl Anthony Towns in our winning window. So
So the reason that it is half full is because of how we finished the year under Chris Finch. So you saw the development of Anthony Edwards, and he is the rookie of the year for the NBA, in my opinion. Like, by far.
False.
Look at the scoring that this man was putting up towards the end of the year. Like, I think he had 14 or 15 30-plus point games.
Great.
As a rookie. Then you have D'Lo as well, Cat. We finished, I think, 5th or 6th in the NBA, like, from worst. Mm-hmm. So we may get that top 3 pick. We kind of fucked ourselves for being as successful as we were down the stretch.
Thank you for continuing to make my point. Non-wise decisions continue to be made by the Minnesota Timberwolves.
But here's the thing. When you have that young of a roster, you can't push losing. You have to push a winning culture and understanding.
Look at the Sixers.
The Sixers that
look at the Hawks
are in the process for 10 years and still aren't winning championships.
I'm just saying. There's a theory there to do it, and you have to commit to one or the other. Either you are trying to win a championship, or you are tanking to reset and win a championship. You'll hear me say this about the Vikings. You'll hear me say it about the Cowboys. You'll hear me say it about every middle-of-the-road team. 500 gets you more 500. You draft 500 players.
I mean, they weren't even close. Their winning percentage was .319 though. So they're towards. They have a chance at getting that top 3 pick. If you guys don't know, if they do not get a top 3 pick in the lottery, our pick goes to Golden State because of the Andrew Wiggins trade.
Yep.
So that would suck if we got like 4th and then we don't have that first round pick. But if we get a top 3 pick and
probably
get
not gonna happen.
Any of the guys that are coming out, Suggs, Cunningham, any of those top 3, this team is a playoff team next year. Guaranteed.
Okay, wait a minute. You're telling me that you would draft Cade Cunningham, which is the Walmart LaMelo Ball, and you didn't want LaMelo Ball in this year's draft?
I would rather have Anthony Edwards.
I'm going to throw you across this table.
No, you're not. No.
Let me know what you think.
Cunningham can shoot much better than LaMelo Ball. Plus,
No,
I don't
shoot,
want
no.
the drama of the Ball family in Minnesota either.
Has there been any drama in Charlotte?
Not that we know of.
Yeah,
I don't
'cause
want
LaMelo
Charlotte
is his own
Hornets
entity.
shit. Like, I don't know. I disagree. I think Big Baller Brand follows him around.
All right, so you guys can let us know in the comments.
It's
Go
half
ahead and
full
write in.
because they're youthful and they were winning games towards the end of the season. They're just going to get better.
We have Ricky Rubio. Yeah, that was a guy, by the way, that we also took in the first round. That was a point guard. And how'd that pan out? He left and then came back, and nobody knows he's here. Like it's a franchise thing. We don't do. And by the way, Suggs and Cade Cunningham are both point guards. Every single franchise has a position that they don't do well, and it's point guards for the Minnesota Timberwolves. Billups, Marbury. Didn't draft Steph, passed on Ty Lawson. Ricky Rubio didn't pan out. The point guard position we passed on LaMelo Ball now, point guard. We don't do point guards. New England doesn't do wide receivers for football. That's great.
I mean, I think the backcourt in general, I think our backcourt is going to be ridiculous this next year. You have to look at the difference of the front office staff that we brought in. Rosas was from Houston. They had James Harden. He went and got James Harden because he understands that a firepower in the backcourt is extremely necessary to win in the NBA today. So if you pair up D'Lo, again, remember that Malik Beasley was hurt pretty much all year. I don't know, man. I'm telling you. I think that especially if we get a top 3 pick, this Timberwolves team is in the playoffs next year.
I'll write that down. Somebody clip this so we can go back a year from now.
If we get the top 3 pick.
15 games below 500 again.
No, not happening.
Either
All right,
way,
move on.
Either
What's
way,
the next one?
let's move on to the next one. So let's go Minnesota Wild next.
All right.
Flip it up.
Jeez. Half full.
Lucky you.
Sweet. That's easy. Again, an extremely youthful team winning games that they weren't even supposed to win. The Wild weren't even pushing for the playoffs this year. Ended with, I believe, the 3 seed. Does that sound right? The 3 seed.
And neither team, by the way, I will point out, wanted to play Minnesota. It was a very widely known story that both Colorado, the Avalanche, nor the Vegas Knights wanted Minnesota in the first round.
Right. And honestly, I watched too little Wild hockey during the regular season to have probably a great opinion on this team, but I did try to watch a lot of that series with Vegas. The thing with the Vegas series that I noticed is we just do not play with that chip on our shoulder that we need to. And I think that comes with experience. You get kicked out of the playoffs 2, 3, 4 years in a row, you're going to come with a chip on your shoulder, and you're not going to get thrown around in the corner, like Vegas was throwing us around. They had the experience and that chip on their shoulder that we just did not have yet. I think Kaprizov got used to playoff hockey because it is a completely different animal.
Totally different game.
And we're too youthful to understand that just yet. I think that the future is extremely bright at the XL Energy Center. I look forward to seeing this team make deep playoff runs in the years to come.
But it needs to start right now.
They made the playoffs this year in a rebuilding year that they weren't even supposed to make the playoffs in.
Right, but here's what I'm going to tell. Very similar, since I've got the glass half empty.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead and look at the majority of the Minnesota Wild and where the money is put right now. The money is invested in old and slow. Right?
And the coach recognizes that and didn't even play Parisi the first 4 games.
Even though he should have been in, right? When he was in, they played better. So once again, now I'm going to throw into question, does the coach know what the fuck he's doing? The games that we won, he played, and he played his ass off, right? But if the Wild are going to make a run at this thing, it needs to start right now. Like, your aspirations to win need to start with, can we get to a Stanley Cup next year? Right? I don't want middle of the road. Find a way. I don't know how you make it work. I'm not super confident in the cap and how everything works trading with hockey. I'm not a huge hockey fan. I will follow the Minnesota Wild. And this is probably the first time I've done so since Marian Gaborik and Rolly the goalie. Right. In all honesty, but if you don't go out and get him a secondary sniper, goal scorer, and then you go out and you shore up that defense to protect Kaprizov the same way that the Capitals did with Ovechkin for years, and what Malkin was for Sidney Crosby, or I believe that was, or was it Chara, or whoever it was. He had some size on that back line that let them know that he wasn't going to be messed with. That stuff needs to happen now. Suter and Parisi need to be gone. And if you have to leverage them for draft capital to continue to keep this team young because you know you're going to have to go out and pay somebody, You do it, but you do it right now.
There are two things the Wild are missing, in my opinion, to put them over the hump, and that's a goon,
Yep.
an enforcer, whether that be a defenseman or someone. Again, in that Vegas series, like if we had Derek Bugard in that series, I think that series plays out completely differently because Vegas isn't able to bully us up and down the ice for 7 games.
I think if Vegas has their number one guy, we get swept. You saw how difficult, and that's
Who are you talking about? Pacioretty?
yeah,
Okay.
right. So Pacioretty came back, and we got smoke
Whooped.
checked. We got whooped, right? But that's the difference one legitimate goal scorer can make.
Well, the second thing that the Wild need is a true face-off center.
Yeah.
I think our face-off as a team percentage was in like the
Who was it? Sinek who was doing it for us this year?
Honestly, the guy that I would love to see step up and play the way that I know he can play is a kid that I've actually known since high school, and that's Nick Bukestad.
Okay.
I saw him as a junior dominate the state of Minnesota for Blaine, and then when he's supposed to be a senior in high school, lead the University of Minnesota Gophers in goals. Like, this kid is dominant. I think part of it is just a little bit of confidence. He hasn't been able to truly blossom in the NHL the way that everybody kind of thought he would. However, he's still only 27, maybe 28, but he's still got a lot of legs left in him. And I think if he can truly have a really good offseason and come back as maybe a good center for us, especially in faceoffs, because our faceoffs were horrible all year.
So bad. Even in that series, we
Yep.
lost so many.
Yep. And when you're losing faceoffs, especially in your own zone, you're just setting yourself up for failure.
And by the way, I'm going to say this as just part of pay Talbot,
Yep.
keep Talbot. Like I don't know what else needs to be said about that. That man stood on his head the entire series.
He played great.
Played great hockey. But I don't know. I'm soured by the consistent letdown of Minnesota sports front offices
Consistently
and player
just
performance.
above average and nothing else.
Right. So now I go, oh, great. We've got the greatest goal. We've got the greatest rookie to come out in the last 14 years. That's what his numbers state.
Yep.
Right. Best in the last 14. So think about all the talent that's been drafted in the last 14 years. Kaprizov, far and above everyone else. Can you do what you should have done with other Adrian Peterson, all the other talent we've had in this state? Build around the man. Make him a centerpiece. Give him what he wants. Keep him happy. Pay him. Make him love this state so he wants to go win a title for us.
Right. I think they will.
And until they show me that they want to do that or that they're going to make
And I don't think
the right
that they
moves,
need to do as much as you think. I really don't.
I guess we'll maybe.
All right. So we have the Twins next.
Oh, that's
You
true.
want to flip?
I will flip. I'm actually getting real scared that I'm going to be the captain of pessimism today because I've
I'm
had
cool with
both
it.
the
I feel like it
negatives.
fits us
Did you just call me a pessimistic
a
person?
little bit. There you go.
You're an ass. And I
Glass
got the,
half full.
Oh, yay. On the team I didn't want it for. That's okay. So all the Polad pocket protectors will go ahead and give me a round of applause on this. If we're going to do glass half full, you have to look at the talent that they do have inside the system, right? I do think Rocco Baldelli is a good coach, but I do think that he needs to be... I really think that he needs to hold the players on his roster a little bit more accountable. I get it that he's a player's coach, and it worked for the first few years, but in every system in any sports era ever, right? The player coach thing has an expiration date.
There's a fine line between player coach and like that respect that
Right.
you need as a manager or coach.
So I think he becomes a very respected and even well sought after, probably is the phrase I would use, coach, if he can turn that corner, right? You got to look at guys like Sano. He's a power hitter. Sure, he's slumping, right? I don't know what his numbers are at this point. I don't know what his numbers are at this specific moment, right? But I know that he has the ability to be a 30 home run a year guy. When Buxton is healthy, he was in the MVP conversation early in the year. Kepler, if he can stop pulling the ball, is a guy, once again, 30 home run a year guy. Donaldson has proven he can do it. Barrios needs to take a step and be the ace of that rotation if the Twins are going to win. So, like, all of the pieces are there. There's just something right now that's holding them back. I don't know why. They play like a JV baseball team when they step out on the field sometimes. But it's just like, okay, find the time, get everybody healthy, hold everybody to a standard, and let them know. With this high quality of team, it's either you're making the playoffs and making a push, or we're going to have to start to move some pieces. If you like your teammates and you like where you're at, you want to continue to get paid, It's got to be done here. I think they have a bright future. I unfortunately don't think that they're going to make the playoffs this year. When
so I
they
just looked it up. They're
should.
11 games back already in early June.
There was a stat that came out early in the season. It was around the 36th game of the year. No team in MLB history has lost 25 of their first 36 games and then made the playoffs.
There you go.
And they far surpassed that.
So I have half empty, correct?
Yeah.
So they have talent, but as much as baseball is an individual team sport, it's one person up to bat, one person fielding a ground ball, one person throwing it. It's still a team sport, and I don't think our pieces fit together the way that they need to. So
agree.
when you look back at the Twins teams that I hold dear and near to my heart,
These ones?
I mean, not even so much them, but like the Piranhas with Christian Guzman and those guys who are just stealing bases, bunting, playing good fundamental baseball. They worked together, and it was you played the totality of the Minnesota Twins.
Right.
You didn't have to play Josh Donaldson and then Miguel Sano and then Max Kepler. It wasn't as individualized as it is today. I also just don't think that those pieces fit together. And then you go into, are we spending our money in the right places? So the Twins have been kind of contenders. That Bomba squad came out of nowhere. What was that, 2019? Right?
Yeah.
That was before the COVID year. And they basically thought, hey, we're going to try to make a run, make a push. And they brought in Josh Donaldson. It was the big signing. And Josh Donaldson has played, 8 games? 10 games out of 55? The first game of the year, inning 1, the dude gets hurt.
That's true.
So I don't think that putting our money in that basket was maybe the way to go. Also, the pitching has always been a struggle. Here's the thing also I'd like to point out. We're trying to be a home run team for the first time in Twins history, in my opinion.
Yep.
Like, we've always been a small ball team, bunt, field, do
Pitch
the
well.
right things.
Yep.
We're trying to be a home run team, and now I believe this is the first year that the MLB has switched the baseball.
That happened the year that we were the Bomba squad. Was the first year that it happened. And then what? Yep, and it's like an unwritten rule. You're going to get the balls that fly during the season, and then in the postseason, you're going to get the dead balls, so the pitchers can
the
show.
dead balls now.
No, they're
I'm
playing.
almost positive.
Go ahead and look at some of the numbers. You're telling me that Shohei Ohtani's hitting balls consistently over 450 feet, and those balls aren't juiced?
I mean, I don't know, man. I'm just saying the home run numbers across the league this year are lower because of the dead ball.
Well, they're also contemplating moving the mound back.
So I don't think that the dead ball that we're getting in the past couple of years is helping the Twins' strategy as far as moving towards a home run style offense either.
I agree. I think it's part of the glass half full perspective. That's how teams are going to be run moving forward, right?
As home run hitting teams,
it's gonna be the way that baseball is. Because the unfortunate truth is that's what puts asses in seats, right? Like,
I'm really not sure if they're cracking down on Pine Tar.
not sure. Great question, but not exactly sure if.
Not sure.
Last person I remember getting busted for that was what, Sammy Sosa?
Yeah.
I got to break in here, guys. It's pine tar for the pitchers. The spin rates, because the spin rates are sky high, so that's why offense is down as far as I know.
I know that they were doing the Dodgers pitcher.
Yeah, he's Trevor Bauer, right?
Trevor Bauer, yep.
Power hour,
Yeah,
Trevor Bauer.
that's the most fascinating thing I've ever seen is like what spin rates have done to offense, and that's my understanding.
And I think that's where. So obviously they went through baseball in general went through this massive push in like the Billy Beane era for statistics, right?
Yep.
I think baseball got lost in
sabermetrics.
statistics as to where you kind of see the happy medium with football. You've kind of seen the happy medium with basketball. Baseball being the pioneer steered, if you ask me, way too far left into the skid, right? And now everything turned into velocity, launch angle, spin rate.
I think every sport goes in ebbs and flows, right? So if you look at football, it's running game and defense. All of a sudden it's, hey, who can score 50 points? And now it's back a little bit more to running game and defense.
Yep.
I think baseball will go that same way. In 5-10 years, it's going to be who has the best pitching staff, who plays the best defense, and who knows how to move a runner from first to second effectively and hit a base hit. So I think the Twins would be best off, honestly, doing what they've always done and the tradition of the Twins and playing small ball and playing good defense. And stop wasting money on old sluggers like Josh Donaldson.
That's true. That's the one thing that I noticed that has changed. And glass half full, if you're going to do it, commit to it. Right? If you're going to go out and find a slugger, don't give me Josh Donaldson. When Manny Machado and Bryce
5
Harper
years
were on
past his prime.
Right. When Manny Machado or Bryce Harper or Tatis or Lindor or one of these guys hits the market, go get that guy. Right? Like,
well, it's a Minnesota staple that we get the guys 5 years past their prime, though.
Right. Donovan McNabb and so on and so forth.
Right. All right.
So that's what I got for the Twins.
So let us know what else you guys think.
Yeah, especially
Twins
regarding the
and
Twins.
how we're wrong or how Nick's wrong specifically.
Whoa.
Go ahead and flip for the Vikes.
No, I flipped for the Twins.
All right.
You got the Vikes. I hope you get. Actually, I'm happy with either one here. So have at it.
Either one is easy.
Yeah.
Half full. You want to go first for half empty?
Yeah, I'll take half empty. I will absolutely take half empty. And the majority of this is going to be directed at Kirk Cousins. So if you see this, pay the fuck attention. Right? They signed this man to the first guaranteed contract money in NFL history. Right? I have said this since the day that it happened. There should have been a standard set. He was the first one to have a contract like this, so there should have been a stipulation that came with it. Right? Case Keenum got us to an NFC championship game. You have 3 years. If we don't get to an NFC championship game, I'm not paying you any more money.
Right.
That's how that should have gone. It would have set the standard
as the half full,
for the remainder of quarterbacks in the league that then wanted guaranteed cash.
Right.
We didn't do that, so now we got to lay in the bed we made, right? So you have a consistently underperforming Kirk Cousins, and if you ask me, he's very similar to what I see out of like Russell Westbrook. You're going to look at the stat line every day, and you're going to go, oh, 250, 65% completion percentage.
3 touchdowns.
3 touchdowns, a pick, right?
And we lost.
But in the fourth quarter, he fell apart and got sacked or held onto the ball too long or he fumbled it or whatever. And he doesn't have like that go get it. Like, you like that? That was a Thursday
Once in a lifetime.
It was a Sunday game at 1 with nobody watching.
Yeah.
For a bad team. Right? The standards are higher. Expectations change everything that you do. So, and if you're the Vikings listening to this as well, I now know that we have $14.2 million in free cap space. Can we not shift that into Kirk's contract this year? I'm cool with the roster we got. But then he's an 11 or $16 million quarterback next year. You want to trade Kirk? You want to give Kellen Mond a shot, which is why they drafted him? Make Kirk Cousins a cheap quarterback. You're telling me Pittsburgh's not going to be looking for somebody after Ben retires if Dwayne Haskins isn't the answer? Or some of these other quarterbacks that are going to be on their way out because they can't get a deal done or somebody gets hurt? The Vikings need to start protecting themselves and from Kirk Cousins to win some of the leverage back. So maybe shifting some of that money into his current contract instead of doing what everybody else is doing, which is kicking the ball down the road, with the cap problems, that may solve some things. So that takes care of Kirk Cousins. If he plays better, I don't even think he's going to come back. 2 years from now, he's going to be gone. Then we can get into the coaching staff. Zim, can you find an offensive coordinator and keep him? Like, I love the Minnesota Vikings. I have broken televisions over wide lefts against Seattle, right? But Mike Zim can't hold on to an offensive coordinator.
Right.
You also want to wonder why the offense is in shambles, why you can't draft a consistent offensive line, why you have inconsistent weapons, inconsistent quarterback play. The run game's there for 3 weeks, and then it's not there. It's because none of the schemes match year to year. Okay, so you go Kubiak to Kubiak. I still have no idea who that guy is. He's Kirk's quarterback coach. That's all I know about him. And Kirk doesn't play great quarterback. And he's his dad's son, and as good as our offense was last year, did it get us into the playoffs? No, it did not. Okay? Then you look at the defensive side of the ball, where Zim's kid is on the coaching staff. So is this just a legacy gig now? Mike, if you're a head coach and you pop a kid out, are you holding the spot for 16 years for them to come in and be an assistant? Probably not.
No.
Right? You have to earn those spots. Like, the fact that the Vikings didn't go out this year and at least interview the guy from... Yeah, I would agree. I don't think he's a winner. I would agree with that.
I as much as I'm supposed to be the half full guy, I agree with it as well. So here's why it is half full. Okay.
Hang on 1 second. The point I wanted to make about the coaching thing: who's the Chiefs' offensive coordinator? Bieniemy? No.
Yeah, it was.
I don't remember his name. It could be Eric Bieniemy.
I can look it up quick.
The fact that he wasn't interviewed for the offensive coordinator job at the very least is a joke.
Eric Bieniemy.
That shows incompetence on Spielman's level. Because you very easily, knowing that he has studied under Andy Reid, he has a Super Bowl, so he knows how to play. He knows how to do playoff football. He's got a lot of weapons, very similar to what they're trying to build on offense for the Minnesota Vikings. That Spielman didn't make an offer that blew everybody out of the water for him to be the offensive coordinator, and then you go, okay, if Zim's defense doesn't perform, this job is going to be yours. That's incompetence by Spielman. Because you have to, what? I told you, you have to be looking to win football games. And if you're not looking to win football games, the teams that are going to beat you every single time. And I think that's part of the reason why Danielle Hunter's upset. And part of the reason why I think our season may flake is because I don't even know if he's going to show up, and he's the best pass rusher in the league.
You done?
Now I'm done.
Okay, there were 4 teams in the NFC that scored more points than us last year.
Yep.
There was 1 team that allowed more points.
Yeah.
So it was all of our defense.
Zim.
So we were 7-9. The Bears finished 8-8. And correct me if I'm wrong. Did we not play the Bears week 17
Yep.
for a playoff spot?
Yep.
Okay, so we're basically 1 game out of the playoffs last year, with basically I want to say 8 of 11, if not more, backups on the defensive side of the ball.
Okay.
Okay, so we've brought back Danielle Hunter. We've brought back Michael Pierce, who sat out.
Are we bringing back Danielle Hunter?
Yes. Just wait. He'll be in purple in the fall, guaranteed. We're bringing back Danielle Hunter. Michael Pierce is coming back because he sat out from COVID. Yep. We're bringing in Dalvin Tomlinson.
Yep.
Kendricks is back. That defense is going to be back to the Minnesota Vikings defense this year that won't allow the second most points allowed in the NFC.
Hopefully.
Okay. And let's not forget, we were 1 game away from the playoffs last year. So you're bringing back basically one of the top defenses in the NFL, healthy and strong and ready to go. You're also bolstering the secondary that is Zim's specialty that he's always been trying to run with rookies or really young guys. And now we're bringing in some experience and some veteranship in the back end with Patrick Peterson. And there's one more guy that I just had on the tip of my tongue. Xavier Woods. That secondary is going to look different. We're not going to be cursing at our TV, giving up 30-yard bombs every Sunday.
Yet to be seen.
Offensively, I think we're okay. 4th in the NFC, I think is what I said. 4th in the NFC as far as points for is definitely competitive when you bring in that top 5 defense back from basically IR all year last year.
How far back does that offense step, though? Because it's Clint and not Gary.
I don't think it does. I think that there's continuity there between the Kubiaks and Kirk Cousins. The system itself is not going to change. If anything, you're giving Kirk the keys to the car and saying, hey, you know this system.
Now you have to win.
Now you have to win. You call some of your own game a little bit.
Yeah.
Like you feel it out. You go with what you're confident in. And I think Kirk Cousins is a better quarterback when he's confident. Although I do agree, the biggest thing that would change the Minnesota Vikings is if Kirk Cousins played with a chip on his shoulder. The fact that I played the position, obviously not at that level, but the fact that he gives up and falls on himself for plays, you are not Peyton Manning, dude. You have legs. Move your ass. Get out of the pocket. Try to break a tackle and deliver the ball downfield. If he can add that to his game.
That's how he throws interceptions. Please don't do that. Please, Kirk, look at me. Don't do that. That's not, no.
I'd rather you do that than, no sand in his belly, wears pink panties. And I think that's exactly what he's talking about because he falls on himself. It looks like he's tripping over himself in the pocket when anything breaks down. So if he can add any sort of improvisation. There you go. I think it's either one. I don't know. Okay. If he can add that to his game, he'll be much more effective and the offense will be much more effective, especially because a lot of his passes are rollouts off of the zone game with Dalvin Cook. Yeah. Again, you're going to get more Irv Smith this year as we move down from Kyle Rudolph. That's a vertical threat from the tight end position. You have Justin Jefferson entering his 2nd year. I don't think that there's going to be a sophomore slump. I think he's just going to get more comfortable because the offense is the same.
And I think they're going to begin to utilize him differently too, knowing he's the guy.
Right.
Maybe.
Right. And then you have Thielen as well. I think the Vikings go, I would say, realistically, probably an 11-6 season this year and make the playoffs.
Ooh, so we're making predictions? Is that what we're doing?
Go ahead. I mean, you have to make a prediction from a glass half empty point of view today, though.
That's
true.
It's a little different. That's true. mean, even glass half empty. If this team does not make, here's what I'll say, and you can write this down and clip it and take it to the bank. If they don't make the playoffs, you have to blow the whole thing up.
Okay.
You have to start with Spielman.
I think you just
and go down.
I think you just move on from number 8. I don't think you have to blow the whole thing up.
It's a culture thing. All those guys are Zim's guys. So you telling me you fire Zim not making the playoffs, you're going to get the same guys that want to take pay cuts. Kendricks, Barr, Smith, the guys that he drafted and created.
I would say it depends on why we didn't make the playoffs. If we have a severe injury bug like we did this year, and again, half of our defense is out with injury,
Who hires the training staff?
Well, can you really blame that on Zim, though?
Who hires training staff?
I don't know.
Spielman.
Okay, so are you going to blame Zim for it?
No, I'm going to blame Spielman, who takes direction from Zim. Blow the whole thing up. I don't want another 8-8 season.
So if Daniil Hunter tears his ACL, it's somehow Spielman's fault, is what you're trying to tell me.
Absolutely. They should have taken better care of him.
You're crazy. That's all right. I'm gonna move on. I can't even look at you right now.
I mean,
the Vikings will make the playoffs this year. Don't worry. They will.
Let's hope, right? Like I really do hope that they make the playoffs. I just know that they have a lot to prove.
Hopefully we're gonna have an easier schedule this year too because we finished 3rd in the division.
That's true. That's very true. I hadn't even really considered that we're going to be playing a 3rd place schedule. Who do we have for our showcase game? Do you know?
I don't.
We should look that up. Sure. But we'll get more into the Vikings. Obviously, you can tell me and Mike that's probably football is the show that, or the sport, the sport that we follow the hardest on.
I agree with that.
On this show, and so you're going to get a lot of that. Like you got a lot of Rodgers, like you got a lot of Julio. You're going to hear me.
I don't really want to talk about Aaron Rodgers like ever again, though.
I don't really ever want to talk about the Packers.
Yeah, me either.
But I just that's what we'll be talking about. So I guess that's it. So if you're keeping count, Mike thinks the Vikings will make the playoffs. I say they have to. The Wild, for me, have to make the playoffs this next year.
They will again.
And Mike thinks that they will. The Minnesota Twins have a lot of work to do.
And they don't know what to do.
But they have the talent. And
Timberwolves will make the playoffs next year.
If we, sell to another individual or Taylor takes his hands off 2 years early, like I have zero confidence that we're getting here. If you want to clip something, we're not getting a point guard in the first round.
I mean, it all depends on where we fall in the lottery.
Well, that's part of my prediction.
Okay.
So,
all right.
Go ahead, man.
Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Please let us know what you think of the show. Comment, subscribe, share on all of the social medias. There's like 12 of them now. So Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. We can be found on all of them. Please go like, subscribe, and share with your friends. Send us sports memorabilia. We'd love to highlight anything that you guys have at home that you'd like to send us. We can highlight it just for a show. We'll be switching out jerseys like every week. Doing different things with our set as well, just to keep you guys interested and your eyes entertained as well.
Yeah, maybe we can change some stuff and we can like run a Who Notices competition.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Something like that. Yeah, so please send us your sports memorabilia. Anything to add?
Yeah, if you're a sports personality that wants to come on this show as well, let us know. We would love to see you, pick your brain. Me and Mike are semi-smart, I guess, if you watched this episode and decided that we didn't absolutely suck, right? There's that. Go ahead, drop by next week, Thursday, 11-ish, 11:04 for Mike. And we will come back and possibly talk about Coach K retiring. Yep. We'll hopefully at some point have an update on Aaron Rodgers leaving, if not the division, football as a whole. Where does Julio Jones land? As we get closer to the season, I'm sure we're going to find out a lot about some of these quarterback battles. So there's going to be a lot of fun stuff for us to talk about. And I promise we're going to get better because I'm not going to sit here and say this show stunk. But it wasn't perfect, and progress is part of the play. So we will see you guys next Thursday at 11. Thank you very much, and have a good rest of your week.
Good job.
Appreciate it.